All right, so these days, people really want you to prove everything to them. They need you to show them to their face why you believe the things are like that, why you think the way you think, especially if they think you're wrong. They'll say, "Show me the statistics, show me the facts." Um, and I just think that if someone is not willing to consider your point of view off of face value just by hearing it, they wouldn't be willing to consider it regardless. But anyway, I kind of want, so I'm someone that really appreciates statistics, numbers, all these things. I believe if something is not quantifiable, not definable, then it doesn't really exist. And like for like basically like the way you're looking at something, if you can't even tell what it is, you don't understand what you're seeing. And so you should be able to provide some sort of evidence for what you're talking about. But that evidence can also include just logic and reasoning. So logic means it's like basically stating the truth. Um, and what people fail to understand, I myself was really bad at this in the past. Still am not great at it. But sometimes you explain to someone logically why something is the way it is, and they just don't understand, they don't grasp it. And you can't understand why they don't understand. And it causes this conflict. The answer to this is reasoning. There's logic and reason. Reasoning is when you kind of explain to yourself or to someone else why the logic works, and you explain how it applies in real life. So, but like just you can state logic, but just because you understand it doesn't mean someone else will. Everyone has a different level of understanding. Obviously, the logic itself is intact and it's secure. It's literally like something that exists. It's true, and it will stay there. But the ability to see it and to perceive it is based off of reasoning. So anyway, I think that as long as someone has the ability to logically reason, like let's combine those things, logically reason and explain how something works, it should be enough for someone else to consider their opinion. But today, it's like a really hostile climate of like debate and discussion. There's no discourse. It's like me trying to tell you why I'm right and not letting like basically this is like the way that people talk these days. Is like I'm gonna say what I want to say, but because I know you're gonna cut me off, I'm gonna keep talking, and then in so doing, I cut you off. And when you try and respond, like I know where you're going in my head. At least I think I do, and so I'm gonna respond before like you even like make your point. And it goes back and forth, and it's just like it's impossible to even talk to anyone. You need to allow someone to finish, like to begin and finish a statement and to reason. And you can even ask questions to further clarify what they mean before you respond. One thing I've learned, I'm someone that has like a really hard time with being concise. And so I don't know exactly how this happened. This is story time now. I'm literally gonna take you guys off the rails. We're gonna literally leave what I was talking about and go into story mode. So when I learned Spanish to become a missionary, and I practiced Spanish for a long time. I spoke it for 2 years, and coming home or like speaking more English, I just realized that like my English was broken almost. Like the way I think of it is that English is more complicated than Spanish. And so there's a lot of weird sayings and ways that we use grammar and words in English that just don't make sense like in a literal sense. Um, I could give you a bunch of examples, but anyway, I'm sure you can think of some. Like maybe like, oh, I feel like, and we say I feel when really we think I think that I feel that, and we combine those two and make them one. We have a lot of sayings. What's up? And it's like couldn't even tell you. Like I don't know what that means. Like those are simple examples, but in Spanish, everything's so much straightforward. Or so much more straightforward, and like it's easier to conceptualize things. So when I started speaking more English and Spanish again, I realized that like I used to, before I learned Spanish, I used to be very articulate, and I knew like I had a really big vocabulary, and I was able to explain things. I'm an excellent writer, and I still am, because it gives me like writing, it takes longer than talking, so you have more time to think about it. As I'm talking, sometimes I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say. then that really wasn't a problem. But somehow learning Spanish has taught me that I have this weakness, and it's kind of humbled me to the point where like I'm doing my very, very best to use the best words, best sentence structure in order to convey a point. However, one thing I have noticed, you see how I totally derailed and now I don't even know where I was before, but anyway, one thing I've noticed is that um I literally just lost my thought again of not being able to say, being articulate, and what was I thinking of? Gosh dang it. I was about to say something about like a problem that we have in conversation. Oh, the fact that I can't just say what's on my mind. Like this gets me in trouble like all the time, literally. Is that I will say something in my mind the way I think it, and people will choose like they'll take offense. I don't want to be offensive by saying people choose to be offended, but people take offense to certain words that I use in my speak, um, because because I didn't phrase it a certain way. One huge problem that we have is that everyone expects the other person to say things in a way that you want to hear it. But that's literally a form of control and like dominance that is not acceptable. Like you can't just make someone say things the way you want to hear it. At that point, they lose whatever they lose their identity of what they're trying to convey. Like the words are not theirs. They're just making them up to please you. One thing we do too often, although we often disagree about certain things, when you're trying to avoid the disagreements, you use extra words and you snake in and out of the grass around the bushes, to the point, and then by the time you get there, you might have even said something that doesn't make sense, and what you're trying to convey just it didn't really hit the point, didn't get across, and the other person, like maybe you're talking with your friend or someone, but like you don't really want to fight with this person. They say like they agree with you, like you say, oh, this is what I feel like this, I think this and this and this, and like yeah, like I also think this. And I've had it happen where you're literally saying different things but you're agreeing at the same time, and it's because of this nuanced way of saying things that's not direct that we've lost the ability to communicate. This happens a lot, I think, and it's due to like politics, it's due to whatever, but I guess the way that politicians talk, because we don't want to be exposed, um like even not due to the merit of what we're saying, but due to how we're saying it, we don't want to be exposed in any way. We literally abandon we abandon ship, and we kind of, I don't know, we both get to a point where no action can be taken, so we say something in a way that can't be understood, and after it cannot be understood, then there's no further action taken, because if you were to state your point simply and clearly and the person didn't agree with it, now you have to figure out why you don't agree, and at some point you're gonna have to decide if you're gonna change your opinion or not. And at that point, once you change your opinion and the way you see things, then your whole life will change, because every time you learn something new, you acquire new knowledge, it changes how you act. So I think it's a huge problem with discourse. And like I was saying, with like the way that people will only accept something like if you provide statistics. Well, that's what I was going for before, and I kind of derailed, but this makes no sense either. Like obviously, you need numbers and things like that to define what you're going for, like your point in of your speaking. But at some point, you don't have a number, don't have an answer. You just have your own reasoning for why you think something. Someone else is going to have to put in their own effort to evaluate what you're saying as well. And I don't even know if I'm making sense at all right now either. That's like the knowing part, is that when I talk, sometimes I don't know if someone's understanding me, because I can't just say what I think. I have to say what I think they want me to hear. I have to say what I think the person wants me to say. And it's super annoying. For example, like I don't want any of you to be lost. And so anyway, this is how we've all developed to speak, and I'm trying to break that right now. In my personal life, I literally am doing my best to just be as straightforward as possible, and it's actually costing me. It's like every time I say something that's like a little bit, not like everything I say is perfect by any means. Like obviously there's things I mess up on, but gosh dang it, it's like free speech is almost not a thing anymore. So what I'm trying to get at with all of this is that if you have something that you are trying to prove, you have a point to make, just make it, just say it. Um, it's up to the person listening that if you challenge their point of view and their belief, um, you can't prove it to them as much as you would like to, and we try to prove things to each other. The person listening has to have the integrity, the cojones to literally just put an extra 10% effort and to think about it and process it, whatever you're saying. The problem, though, is that people often push forward some sort of logic of theirs and without any reasoning and no explanation as to how it works. And it might seem illogical, it might not work, and so it's easy to disregard. And so we all assume that no one wants to hear what we have to say, but we think we have to say it anyway, and so we push it across. There's so much. You see how there's so much like almost like red tape. Is that what it is? Red tape or yellow tape? Anyway, basically, what I'm trying to say is that we all have to learn how to accurately reason and explain things in a way that will make sense to other people. It's not a skill that's everyone has, but it's something that we can all develop. Some people are really talented at it, some people are not, and like it's something that we have to really just think about, be methodical. So anyway, that's about as much that like I had to share. My deep thought right now is just that should I go into this? Okay. This is I wasn't planning on doing that, but here, I'm going to talk about it. So, this is my personal belief. If you look at the scriptures, you read the Book of Mormon, or I haven't read the Old Testament yet, but I know for a fact, like especially in the New Testament, that there are certain since the beginning there have always been certain men that that are intelligent enough and have resources enough to dominate and to control things from a societal in a societal sense, where like they're at the top, and with their intelligence and with their resources they can move pieces around and control how things develop. And so we see this in the New Testament, where the Jews were plotting against Jesus, and they had people moving pieces around in order to obtain their political goals. In the Book of Mormon, we see the Gadianton robbers, who are led by some highly intelligent men, who end up taking down the Nephite civilization, which was reportedly pretty big at that time according to the scriptures. They bring that civilization down almost twice. It's always this organized crime, but that's led by these specific people that are probably in direct communication with Satan. He's telling them what to do, and they're doing it. And so there's no reason to assume that that same thing, if it's been a pattern since the beginning of time, since Cain when he killed Abel, it's like there has to be the assumption that the evil in our world today is no less organized. It might even be more organized. We have to assume, because if you assume the worst, then you're going to be prepared for it. And if it's not as bad as you think it is, that's even better. So we have to assume that in the society we live in, that there are people pulling strings, that they have puppets. Like when you look at all the political and social movements, the contention, the fighting, it's all controlled, or at least it should be, if the devil is smart, and if he's doing what if he's trying to accomplish his objective, and if I were him, I would be doing it the way he's doing it. So it's like, okay, I guess it checks out. So basically, he has these men with huge amounts of resources controlling everything to try and confuse us, to divide us. One thing that they're doing is the restriction of free speech, because when people no longer have the ability to communicate to each other, information does not get shared and knowledge is lost. Imagine if one person knows something important and the other person doesn't, but this person does not speak the same language as this person, they have no ability to communicate, but this information could be vital and life-saving. When we all speak, we're all speaking English, but we all somehow speak a different language, and we're not able to transfer this information that we might have. Like, God has put in us something important that we need to share with someone else. Everyone has something that they need to share. what Satan is trying to do, he's trying to slow that down by messing with the way we communicate. And that's my thought, that's my feeling, is that we're heading towards a dangerous situation where knowledge will just be lost, and widespread ignorance is already starting to take hold upon the people. Ignorance, in my mind, is just defined as the inability to listen, because you cannot remain ignorant if all you do is listen to what other people say. As long as you listen to what other people say and you have your own like 2 cents of like worth of a brain in your head, you'll be able to process and it's just when you only listen, when you only have your thoughts, there's no evolution. Everyone that has some semblance of intelligence, they have, it's not on their own. They've literally been listening to smarter people their whole life until at one point they decided that they had something that was of worth, and they made that their opinion. Like me, I literally, man, am I gonna derail again? I hope you guys really like these long rants, because obviously I have no problem sharing them. If you're into this, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're looking to gain some knowledge. So my other deep thought when it comes to this is that there is no no capability and no capacity of our own to be inspired. If you read the scriptures, we're literally made from dirt, and it was God who breathed life into us. If anything, we are inanimate objects that have been brought to life, or life was put into us. If anything, all we know and all we can know is from God, and it's dispersed through this Spirit that he talks about in the scriptures. The Spirit is the one who will reveal the truth of all things, it says in John. There is Spirit that teaches us light, or teaches us knowledge, and gives it to us through light. And every time someone has like a moment of clarity or a revelation and knowledge is given to them, it's just given to them from God. So basically, that when someone is trying to become smarter, gain world like a worldview, they need to listen to other people, and they need to receive that light somehow. So God is willing to give it to you, but like the more, like it's already out there to be had. Other people already contain these pieces and bits of light and information from heaven, and we're all just meant to share it with each other until it becomes uniform, becomes a whole, where we all like have knowledge, and we all are better off intellectually. So that's what Satan is trying to stop. The coming forth of the kingdom of God will come as people come together and share light and knowledge with each other. If Satan can stop this speaking from happening, this communication, he can slow down how fast the kingdom of God theoretically will come to the earth, when really he can't do anything of the sort, because God will always inspire people to come forth and share their light and knowledge in a way that will affect other people and cause chain reactions. And so that's why he's always called prophets. Interestingly enough, if you read Revelation 19, chapter 19, verse 10, it talks about how the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. And so if you yourself have received anything, any sort of communication about anything like spiritual God or heaven or Jesus Christ, that is the minimum qualification to make you a prophet. And people, like, I've mentioned this a lot to people, and they kind of like sit there and they I guess they have a cow over it. They're like no, like I'm not a prophet. Not only are you a prophet, you're an apostle. It's like there's like those words are just like they don't mean much besides a prophet being someone that has the testimony of Jesus Christ, and an apostle being someone who is sent by Jesus Christ to declare his word. And so people like to confuse being a prophet with the chosen leader of the church, who is a prophet, seer, and revelator, and is given all of the necessary power to lead and direct the church. That guy is the prophet in charge of leading all the prophets. But we're all meant to become prophets. We all are prophets. If you know nothing about Jesus Christ, All you have to do is seek him out in prayer and just ask God if you can learn about him, and he will manifest. He'll tell you in your heart the truth. That's where it starts. So anyway, that's what's happening, is that Satan's trying to stop all of us from prophesying by sharing our testimonies of Jesus Christ. And anyway, the testimony of Jesus Christ contains much more than just knowing who he is. Jesus Christ created everything. He's the one who set everything in motion and created all the laws of the universe that we are under. And so the knowledge of a testimony of Jesus Christ includes all the knowledge there is. So maybe you have a little piece of that. Someone else has a different piece. We need to communicate those things until all of a sudden we can fully understand the identity of who God is. Boom. If that's as clearly as I can state it, I don't know if I could state it any better than that. So there's a responsibility that we have. If you were listening, congratulations, you made it through this long video. You need to do your best to evaluate what knowledge you already hold and discover what else you need to learn. Basically, like what are the holes and gaps? Like, what do you not understand? What can you not quite grasp about how life works, about how the universe is, about the gospel or whatever? And it's up to you to learn those things. It's also up to you to pray to God that he will reveal it to you, and he will do so in many different ways. I couldn't tell you how many people, like, I know this is a fact. All that I'm saying is true, because like this just created, like, all these thoughts created the suspicion in my mind that I can't be the only one that's having these thoughts. If God is willing to reveal things to everyone, that means that there are other people that are out there seeking to spread their light. And anyway, since realizing that, I've like ran into so many people online, like literally finding different people on Instagram, on Facebook, like seeing people doing that, people that are making music, people that are making videos and all these things. I just know it's true. I know it's the destiny of all of us. This is why we have our phones. This is why we are given all the things that we have today. The opportunities is because God needs us to share his light. He could do it himself, right? But the job of us sharing it is what will make us who we're meant to become. So that is it for tonight. I need to go to bed. But if you're listening, know that God knows who you are. He knows you, knows your capabilities, and he will do everything in his power to prepare you to become that person. And when you become that person, you'll never feel a greater sense of satisfaction and pride in yourself and gratitude for God. God and his goodness. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening. Have a great one.